Alright, with that first video out of the way, I'm going to work through another photo that'll require about the same sorts of adjustments, but a little bit more quickly. So, I'm going to begin by opening it in Camera Raw. I'm just going to click Open Image, not make any of the adjustments here, and that'll open in Photoshop. This photo actually has some highlight detail that I want to make sure that I don't lose. So what I'm going to do is use the Shadows Highlights command. I'm not going to do so much to the shadows, but I do want to pull down some of those highlights a little bit. There, I think that looks a little bit more flat, and that's okay. I'll bring in contrast later. In this one, I'm going to make two adjustment layers. One curves layer to correct the tones. This one is I'm moving up my black point to get some true black shadows. A little bit too far, right about there looks good. And the second one to get rid of this blue cast. There we go. That looks about right. I'm actually going to come back down to my first layer there, bring up those highlights a touch. And there you can see with just a couple of adjustments, this looks a lot better than where we started, which was right there. So back to where we were. The next thing that I'm going to do is create a vignette, just like I did in the first video. I'll do that by using a feather of 250 in my marquee tool here. Going to drag in an area that I want to darken. Inverse that selection, jump it to a new layer, set the blending style of that new layer to multiply, and now I have a darker edge here to keep the eye focused towards the center. It's a little bit too much, so I'll reduce that down to maybe 52%. And of course, since this is just a layer, that can always be changed later. If you decide that's a little too light or a little too dark, you can just go in and change it. So finally, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here. I'm going to apply a sharpening filter to this. So I'll go up to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen. Just so that you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to over-sharpen this a little bit. I'm going to bump this up to close to 2 pixels. And maybe 167% looks okay. And I'll just press OK. And that gives me somewhat sharper appearance. I think that's all I'm going to do to this one, but just to compare this to where we started, this is where we are now. This is where we started. That's the intermediate step. Not too bad. If you're like me, and you take a look at this and say, well, it looks like you might have blown out some highlights, then what you can do is just go back in to the curves layer that made the adjustments in the tones. And that's it. And select the layer mask. Get a brush tool. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller. Select black. And I'm going to select an opacity of about 75%. And then zoom in to a couple of those areas that I think I'd like to recover. Like this. And then just paint in black on the mask. See, it's a subtle change, but that brings in that highlight detail again. And you can do that wherever you feel like it needs it. If it turns out that 75% opacity is not enough, you can either go over it a couple of times, or you can increase the opacity. But that looks like it'll probably do the trick. Alright. And there we are, back at the end of the video.